Welcome, everybody, to another episode of 914 Wired. I'm Charlie Stern. This program is all about how politics, education, and culture impact life in Westchester County, and we talk about all kinds of things on here. My partners in this endeavor are Peter Moses and Ardina Seward. Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good morning.
Hi.
So today we have some very special guests. Donyella, Todaro, and B. Cerasoli are residents of Village of Mamaroneck, where there is a emerging situation. There's a proposal there to build affordable housing on a location where there is currently a parking lot. And this topic is creating a tremendous amount of discussion and some controversy in the Village of Mamaroneck. That's what we're here to talk about. Donyella and B, thank you for being our guests on 914 Wired.
Thank you for having us.
So, Ardina, since you are the former resident of Mamaroneck and most familiar with the community of the three of us, why don't you go ahead and frame this issue, and then we can and hear what Donyella and B have to say about it.
Oh, the onus is on me. All right. Well, affordable housing has historically been an issue in Mamaroneck. I remember growing up as a kid getting a postcard, a rather nasty postcard that was circulated by some unknown people saying, "We do not want Mamaroneck to become another Portchester." So back
Hey,
then,
wait a minute. I'm from Portchester.
well, this was decades ago, but even then, there were the makings of not wanting affordable housing because Mamaroneck at that time, due to its demographics, there was a white middle class majority, and they didn't want those people in there. Now, fast forward to 2024, we have a different dynamic. We have a village that's now, I believe, roughly 25% Hispanic. It's more diversified, it's younger, it's more welcoming, it's more liberal, and there is a proposal for an affordable housing development. But that does not come without controversy. There is a young man who is on the board of trustees who was raised in Mamaroneck, smart guy, and is now the center of an alleged conflict of interest. So without hogging the spotlight, I'm going to throw it to Donyella and B, and you can elaborate on what I'm saying.
And Donyella and B, if you could frame where you're coming from on this. So are you opposed to the affordable housing? Are you opposed to this particular proposal? Tell us, what brings you to this fight?
Okay, so there's many facets to the opposition. Collectively as a group, we are for affordable housing. But we feel that we have contributed greatly to helping our community, and that we have affordable housing here. And where they're looking to put this affordable housing is in a space that will be taking away greatly from the community and would put a further strain on the community for many different reasons.
Time out. It's a parking lot. So what would it be taking away?
Parking.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute. Mamaroneck does have a parking problem. Where is this parking lot located? Is it the one near Library Lane or no?
Yes,
Exactly.
it's the one near Library
That's
Lane.
right across the street from the police department.
We're talking
And
about
the
the
Emmanuel.
Hunter lot, the Hunter tier parking lot.
100-tier lot. Yeah.
So for those of you who are watching this and don't know Mamaroneck well, but you do know Mamaroneck Avenue, it's near the T. It's a block or two in from the T where the Post Road meets Mamaroneck Avenue.
Correct.
It's helpful.
And
Thank you.
there's not a lot of parking on Mamaroneck Avenue either. And so a lot of people park in that lot. And the Emmanuel Theater, a lot of people park in that lot when they go to the Emmanuel Theater.
Yeah.
Plus, Peter, the roads really in Mamaroneck, let's face it, are not that wide. So
No.
even before this affordable housing controversy, because of gentrification, there was always an issue of parking. They're running out of parking spaces. It's plain and simple.
Yes, and this development would add 77 more units to the population in Mamaroneck. And it's the main thing is it's not for our residents. it goes out to lottery for 9 counties, including New York City.
And what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is that we're hanging our hat on helping the people of our village, and there's no guarantee that anybody in our village is going to get a unit.
There's a number of people in the village that have told us that they're going to get an apartment there because they live in the village of Mamaroneck. That's what they've been told. And when we've tried to explain to them that there is a lottery and they'll be as lucky as the next person, they just don't want to understand that. I am totally for affordable housing. My mantra has been not there, not now. And like Donyella said, we have a parking nightmare. I mean, we have Mamaroneck Avenue has become full of restaurants. 8 to 10 years ago, there was 26 places to eat on Mamaroneck Avenue. Now there's 47. And those restaurants need parking spaces, and there's just not enough. And any development that's put there will not even give us what we have now. So it's a serious situation. People who go around Mamaroneck Avenue 2 or 3 times to go out to eat, they don't find a spot, they go somewhere else.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
even
you
the
something.
businesses
Let me
don't
ask
want
you
it.
something. Let me ask you something. You said not here, not now. That's a mantra that almost every community in Westchester has postulated when it comes to affordable housing. Well, let me just finish, please. You can.
Yeah, no.
I don't know any community in Westchester other than the cities that welcome affordable housing. Mamaroneck is a mixed community. It does have rich and poor and middle class. Why not now? I mean, the there is an open question. But
Well,
what's wrong with now? I don't understand that part of it.
first of all, we have reached our legal limit for affordable housing. We're happy to look at more. I'm saying not now, because we have the number one priority in the comprehensive plan that the village adopted was flood mitigation. We have a urgent need for flood mitigation. 1/3 of our village floods. On Saturday, people were inundated with water, and we need to make that our top priority. And then the flood prone area where they hope to bring people out of, it could be fixed. We need to do that.
So it sounds like you're saying Village of Mamaroneck is only capable of addressing one problem at a time.
When it's a problem
No.
as big as flood
Yeah,
mitigation,
that's hard to understand.
Yeah, no, we're not saying that all right. They haven't addressed any of the points that were made in any comprehensive plan ever. That's the problem.
What
They're
what
not
are you
addressing.
referencing? What are you referencing?
Yeah.
You haven't ever
The
about what?
comprehensive plan has not gave them a list of things to address. The Sheldrake River, widening it, taking care of the dam and holding back the water at the dam, and speaking to the owners of the dam, Westchester County, and mitigating the dam. Nothing's been done. They've wanted pumps in Columbus Park, removing of bridges. The amount of things that they have told them that should be addressed
And
have not.
who is they, Donyella? The village board?
The county, they have all of these studies that have been done, the SLR reports, that's
Yep.
the sea level rise reports, are all telling them. The sea level rise report in 2023 specifically addressed 7 things that they did not do from the one that was done in prior, because they do it like around every 10 years, this SLR report. And they specifically listed all those things that they're not addressing.
Okay,
And
so we've
if
had
they're not doing
trustees,
that,
right? We've had your trustees on this show talking about flood mitigation in
Multiple times.
Mamaroneck.
Ardina is an advocate for her home village and town, and she has put together 5 or 6 shows on the flooding issues of Mamaroneck, which she grew up experiencing.
Right.
Anybody who's watching this.
The point is, we know that those issues are very serious, and I know that your trustees are taking it very seriously because we've had them on the show. We've had your congressman on this show. He's also appropriated monies, apparently, to the betterment of Mamaroneck. So I don't want to make this another show about flood mitigation. I just don't quite see why it isn't possible to address both flood mitigation and those kinds of concerns and also affordable housing, because affordable housing is a crisis level social problem all over Westchester and beyond. So let's kind of double click on the No Hunter Lot Development initiative, which you are a part of. What would be an appropriate development in this on this site? Are you saying parking lot or nothing?
No, you can do both in that space. It doesn't have to be we don't want to lose not one space, not one. If you can accomplish that and put the affordable housing on the property as well, I'll agree to that. The
When it
proposals that were
I
put
think
forth,
the counter to that would be that it may not be reasonable to not lose a single space and develop the property. Now, it might be reasonable to say you can't take away all of the spaces and not provide spaces for people who live and work in the immediate area. And to the extent that I understand it, the developer is providing public parking at the bottom level of this their proposal.
they don't know if they can get to the bottom level.
So you're saying the existing parking lot is the absolute best use of this property?
I'm saying that the existing parking lot has to be remediated, and also you want to build on top of it, don't go as high, don't put as many. This original proposal went out as 40 apartments, then it went to 170 apartments, and then it scaled back to now 77 apartments. And if you read their proposals want this property at a discount.
How do you
in it.
how do you, pardon me for interrupting, but how do you know that there's going to be a guaranteed cap, number one, on 70, on that number of apartments? Because sometimes developers will say, okay, we're guaranteed for 70, but you know something, we're going to add on another 20. And then in addition to that, there's the burden on the school system. Because when you're talking about adding, I don't know how many numbers of people, you're talking about adding a bunch of kids, more kids to the Mamaroneck to the Mamaroneck public school system also.
Right,
So-
that's a big part of it.
Because in one of the proposals, it would not even be the developer that's buying, it would be the Westchester County, and they don't have to follow any of the regulations that the Village of Mamaroneck has to. So
That's the West Half
would know
proposal.
what happened. We would not know what would go on if that were the case.
I'm not sure that the county is exempt from any local regulations, but let's to back off on this a little bit here. So, you want parking spaces to be, you want it to be a parking neutral proposal. You want that, right? So one way to fix that could be build more parking someplace else. You want it to be a schools neutral issue. And one solution for that could be hire more teachers. Wouldn't it be a good thing to have to hire more
space.
teachers?
Space.
We don't have any space.
So build more space.
There's no more space.
You can always find more space for classrooms. You build more space. You address that issue. What I'm trying to say is, if I have my affordable housing hat on, okay, I look around Westchester, there is a terrible shortage of affordable housing. People who live here who work here, can't afford to live here.
But that's the key, Charlie. The whole thing is what you have to go back to what they were saying early on, is that this is a housing lottery. This is no guarantee for the cops, the teachers, the people who live in America. I mean, you can get people.
So it's a lottery.
But it's a lottery.
But you're not going to get our people.
But it's not going to. But it's
Well,
not.
and
going
who are
to-
your people? This is the
People who
people
live in
part of this I
Mamaroneck?
don't understand. This is the part of
people
this thing
live
I
in
don't
Mamaroneck.
understand. Well, if they move to Mamaroneck, they're Mamaroneck people.
But you're pulling from areas that aren't Mamaroneck people. This was touted to the public as that is going to help the residents of Mamaroneck.
By whom?
That's not the case.
By
Right.
whom?
But
Who's
Donyella-
the one?
The former
Right.
mayor.
Right. And I'm going to take a radical left position here, but unless you're an American Indian, you're not from Mamaroneck. So what's the difference if we build 77 units and make them affordable to people who have a range of 30% to 120% of the AMI or whatever the yardstick is, and we open up the place a little bit to some apartments that people can afford to live in? That doesn't sound like a terrible social policy to me.
Yes, but it was reported as they were going to help the people who currently live in the flood-prone areas in the village of Mamaroneck.
Well,
They
That's
even said that in the proposal.
that guy lied.
Well, no comment.
I
No
mean,
comment.
if he said one thing and it's another, there's untruth in there somewhere, Ardina.
So who said that? Who made that warranty to you, B?
that's how it was proposed in the beginning.
By
That
whom?
was proposed
The
by
former mayor.
former mayor Tom
Does
Murphy.
he or she have a name?
Tom Murphy. I just said,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Ardina, you took umbrage to what I said. Why?
No, I didn't take umbrage. I mean, I just find that, this is such a tangled web, because on one hand you have residents in the city of Mamaroneck who are the teachers, who are the cops who've paid taxes, who are just looking for an affordable apartment. And then now you're opening it up to people from outside of the area. I mean, I understand Charlie's argument, where what defines a citizen of Mamaroneck, but I'm going to throw this question out. Where does loyalty begin and end to people who are already engaged in the culture and the fabric of Mamaroneck? I mean, don't they deserve some
I don't buy.
preference?
No,
I
they don't.
agree
I don't
with you,
buy that.
Ardina,
Okay.
100%.
Right.
Years ago, there was a lot of rehabilitation projects in the Washingtonville section of Mamaroneck by West Hab. The last one they did was 1996. I would like to see something like that. I would like them to come in and help us fix the places that live in those areas, be more affordable and be a better living condition.
One of the things you raised was, I think it was Charlie who was talking about the people who work there. And Scarsdale, which has an awful record of affordable housing, they did create some workforce housing. Are you in favor of being able to allow police officers, firefighters, teachers, and others who are employed in Mamaroneck get their own housing allowance?
Quite frankly, I've never heard of that workforce because I did talk to the town of Mamaroneck, who built 30 years ago the Hommocks garden apartments, and they were specific criteria for people who worked and lived in the town and village of Mamaroneck.
It's now called workforce housing,
Okay, because she
and
told
has
me,
been for years.
well, she told me, and it was a town official, that because the Fair Housing Act, the laws have changed, they would not be able to do it that way today. So that I don't know about that. I would definitely look into that.
So,
Workforce.
B, you mentioned West Hab, and that brings another chapter of this story to the fore, which is you have one of your village trustees, a guy by the name of Manny Rawlings, is I gather that he is supportive of the Washingtonville Housing Alliance proposal to develop this Hunter lot site. But there's a question about whether or not he should recuse himself because of, I gather, that he lives in a apartment that is owned by that developer, Washingtonville Housing Alliance. What's the backstory there?
He used to live in an apartment that was built by the Washingtonville Housing Alliance, and there was a petition for non-payment of rent against him and a family member for a period of over a year. And the Washingtonville Housing Alliance won that petition, and they were evicted from that apartment.
Just but to argue on the side of Manny, he there's some question whether he lived there at the time of the eviction and whether he was responsible for that rent payment.
Right. I tried to explain this to our group. I was a landlord. I understand what had happened here. He was an adult occupant, so his mother was the one on the lease. He lived there with her as he grew and now a man. Um, from what he states as well, he got a job, and that once their threshold was met, he could no longer stay there. I think that originally the court petition to demand for payment, he was still living there. That's the address he gave in order to run for village trustee. So he was living there at the time. He became a listed party because he was an adult. When you want to evict somebody, you have to list all the occupants, especially when they're an adult. Otherwise, you can evict his mother and not him. So it has to be listed. The demand for payment is listed. When you're an adult living in an apartment and you were an occupant, he does become a responsible party for the rent. Is his mother going to do that to him? No. Should he have maybe helped his mother? That's a thing between him and his mother.
Right.
But ultimately, they won the lawsuit. She owed them $24,000. There's nowhere, anywhere saying whether the case was dropped or paid or expunged or whatever. So there leaves a lot of what ifs with the same company that's looking to propose for the Hunter lot. And the two proposals that they got two proposals are so drastically different that it puts a shadow on our village going with the one company that everybody seems to be affiliated with. It just
All right, time
looks
out.
shady.
All right, let me just parse this out a little bit, Donyella, and thank you for that back explanation. Are you of the opinion, is your group, which I'm not crystal clear what the name of the group is, the
The
No Hunter Lot,
concerns. Well,
Stop
yeah,
Hunter.
yeah.
no
Stop
Hunter
Hunter
Lot
lot.
Development Group, is that group of the opinion that Manny Rawlings should recuse himself from further participation in discussions and votes on this
I would
topic?
say I would say 97% of us believe that, yes. Would you agree, B?
Yes, I would. And I agree because the code of ethics of the Village of Mamaroneck states that it only has to be the appearance of a conflict of interest. It doesn't have to be blatant something in writing or whatever. It's the appearance of a conflict of interest. And
And
yes,
we should state that the village Board of Ethics, at the request of the mayor, reviewed this and made a determination that Rawlings should recuse himself, and made an advice. I should say they made advice
advisory
that
opinion, yes.
he should recuse. So
Yes, and the mayor
that
asked.
presents a little bit of a challenge to getting this proposal passed. I don't know the rest of the makeup of that board, but that would present a challenge to the developer.
Well, what just again? What I mean, it sounds rather naive, but are you not thinking that Manny could be impartial?
I don't think Manny can be impartial. He's gotten his job through affiliation with West Tab as well. I don't think he can be impartial. There's too many
Right.
boxes being checked with him and the intertwining with West Tab.
And we should explain West Hab, the interlinkage between West Hab and the Washingtonville Housing Alliance, which is the proposed developer. West Hab has a relationship with WHA.
They are
Yes.
actually aligned. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do I think he's a good kid? I think he has a lot of potential to help the children. He loves to work with children and the betterment of children. And it's upsetting to me that he just won't let the village. Well, it's not that he's not letting. It's like we're not getting the opportunity to have more proposals so that we can see as a community what the right thing is here for our community, both revenue for our community, um, bringing people here in our community and to enjoy the community the way I did. I came from affordable housing. I'm one from affordable housing, and I love living here. I don't know why anybody wouldn't, other than the flooding, of course, which we're trying to mitigate. But I just think that they need more proposals and more options.
Okay, and for the
And
record,
I might
we've
add
reached,
that the
Then we
board of
need to wrap up.
the board of trustee just is in the process of creating an ad hoc committee for affordable housing opportunities. So they are still continuing to look. I mean, it's not this project or nothing. They want to create and find more opportunities for the community.
and just for the record, I'd just like
Yep.
to mention that I've reached out to Manny's representative, Manny's attorney, and requested that they be on the show next week. So waiting to hear back from them, and hopefully they will be given their forum to explain it from their side. So stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, thank you, Ardina. That'd be great to get Manny on here. That's going to wrap it up for today. You've been listening to 914 Wired, which is a podcast about politics, education, and culture in Westchester. I'm Charlie Stern on behalf of Ardina Seward and Peter Moses. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, you got to make sure and click that subscribe button so that you find out when there's new episodes. And that's going to do it for today. I want to thank our guests, Donyella, Todaro, and B. Cerasoli, for being our guests and talking about the Hunter Lot development proposal. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you for having us.
Thank you for having us.